Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
Well, here we go. Like it or not, it's the KVJ After the Show podcast. Welcome to it. Okay, got a lot of good stuff to crack into here today.
Let's crack it.
Talking a little bit about the craziness of traveling to Dubai. I talked to Vanilla Ice's DJ during the block party. He was telling me about some of their ventures over there and some of the rules that you need to know when you go there about public displays of affection. I think probably first and foremost over everything else I'm hearing. Talked about a newlywed couple that kissed on the beach and wound up in the clink.
Well, that's not even as bad. What about the one woman who is real prim and proper, and she kissed her husband on the cheek in church?
On their newlyweds.
Almost got him arrested.
That's ridiculous.
Don't play. It's something to know, yeah, because you see it, and hey, on TV, and there's so many shows that I've seen little scenes of Dubai, and I mean, look at these massive hotels. Like I said, it looks like Brickell, except some of their skyscrapers are even bigger than the ones you see in Brickell in Miami.
It looks sexy.
Yeah, it does. And so you're like, well, I'm going to go there and go crazy, and I'm going to drink like crazy and have tons of sex. Well, you better watch yourself because they don't play under the same rules. It is a Muslim country, and, you know, you may be like, oh, it ain't the same as, you know, growing up in a country that has the kind of religious freedoms we do here.
You're right.
They don't have that kind of religious freedom stuff. That is the one that rules. And if you're used to a Christian-type society, they lay the hammer down a lot. You think even your strict Southern Baptists, they lay the hammer down a lot harder than they do even.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
I would not do well in Dubai.
Rosie sent an email, said, I went to Dubai. I had no issues with drinking, even away from the hotel, but they do have posted notices in malls warning about no public displays of affection or touching.
What?
That's insane, man.
Like you can't hold hands?
No. None. Don't do it.
That's religious? Is that religious?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, too, it's somewhat standard. In fact, I've noticed it a good bit. You'll see the men walking in front of the women. The women sometimes don't even typically walk like with the men.
Oh, hell no.
They'll be behind them.
Oh, girl power over here. You'd never get out of prison.
Dear
I
Lord.
lead the way. Men, get behind me.
If only Virginia could spend 1 month having to live like a Muslim woman in Dubai.
I'm not getting behind Virginia ever. I've heard her fart before. It ain't pretty.
You haven't heard me fart
be
in a
behind you.
while.
Virginia, you act like you don't... These are earbuds. I hear everything.
Better not fart in your burqa, though. That's one of the rules that they have, and that might be in the Quran. Do not fart in your burqa. Yeah.
I'll fart in your burqa.
No, you're not. I'm not wearing a burqa. I'm wearing a burqa. That's what women wear. Also, no showing of soldiers or legs by women. It was
shoulders?
Shoulders, yeah. Also, no showing of shoulders or legs by women.
Wow.
Rosie said it was a creepy place. I would not go back. And the restaurant, the hotel, were women totally covered, and they actually looked invisible to me, like black shadows floating through the buffet line. I couldn't figure out how they ate with those heavy veils over their faces.
Screw that.
Am I the only one that wants to know what was in that buffet? What kind of buffet it was?
Yep. Hadn't even thought that.
Really?
Yeah.
It was probably a lot of hummus.
Oh, I love hummus. Not to digress, but I do love me some hummus.
No, go on.
Let me tell you about this garlic hummus I love.
There was a guy from Britain that was jailed for 4 years in Dubai after customs found cannabis weighing less than a grain of sugar under his shoe.
That's like that one story I heard. There is a whole documentary on
4 years.
Yeah, well, this one woman's not. She's in there for life. She can't get out. I think it was a little bit more than that amount of weed, but yeah, she cannot get out of prison.
A father of 3 who was found with a microscopic speck of cannabis stuck to the bottom of one of his shoes has been sentenced to 4 years in a Dubai prison. A search by customs officials uncovered a speck of cannabis weighing 0.003 grams, so small it would be invisible to the naked eye and weighing less than a grain of sugar on the tread of one of his shoes.
What the hell?
But how could that have happened? Was he acting a fool? I mean, how would you even find that? Could a drug dog even find that?
They might have something that chemically picks up on it. there are things that they can do that can sense that kind of stuff. Supersonic sniffers. They use machines and things like that to figure it out. Maybe if you step across it, they're like, you got weed on your shoe, man. Come with us and kiss those 3 kids goodbye.
Friends don't let friends go to Dubai.
You probably have everything on the sole of your shoe. You probably got poop. You probably got blood.
If you walk at your friend's house who likes to smoke weed and is very clumsy, and you walk through it, and then you go to Dubai, you could go to jail for 4 years.
Yeah.
That is majorly messed up.
That ain't what's going to bring you down, though. You'd already be in jail with 9 other things that you'd have done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I'm going overseas, I'm definitely putting drugs in my butt.
Crazy, huh? Whew. Interesting stuff. Got this email from Jesse. Why is everyone so offended these days? Check out this book. I'm currently reading a book called The Coddling of the American Mind, How Good Intentions and Bad Ideas Are Setting Up a Generation for Failure. I first heard about it on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast from December 6th, where Dax interviews one of the authors, Jonathan Haidt, I guess is how it's pronounced.
Jonathan Haidt.
Jonathan Haidt.
He's a very angry guy.
That's like Michael Murder. It's not good.
Bob, butcher your family.
Sorry, Jonathan Haidt. The book touches on the why behind today's overly sensitive and highly offended society. I've attached a picture of the inside front cover, which provides an overview of the book. As a parent, I'm very interested in how and why this happened. How did we become a society that is offended by everything? A society that seems incapable of having respectful, constructive debate across party lines. How do we become so dysfunctional? And how can we try to turn it around for future generations? Jonathan Haidt is also part of a movement called letgrow.org based on a book called Free Range Kids, which is essentially the anti-helicopter parent movement.
I wonder if this is the same guy I saw on HBO. He did some talk shows, either Bill Maher or what. I caught it on. I was getting ready and I saw talking about the same kind of stuff. And this guy went into a reason why all of this has started to happen. This wasn't going on 15 years ago, but if you notice, like the last 5 years, you've seen this surge of people getting so offended and about everything. And he went into detail, but I can't remember it. I don't know why I brought it up.
Appreciate that run-on going nowhere story.
I blame you, Kevin. You hired me.
Can you put a rat trap on your tongue?
It's fair. It's a mouse trap, by the way. These son of a bitches on Twitter, quit saying it's a rat trap. Bird's a bitch. It's a mouse. It's a mouse trap. All right, you got me.
The cloak of mystery has been lifted.
Well, I didn't know what the hell you guys were doing. I'm living in this world of not seeing shit.
You was blindfolded.
Sorry.
He talks a little bit about what this book is about, especially the dialogue that has happened on some college campuses. Some of it has been scary, swinging to the liberal side. I remember there was something about when there was a professor that he couldn't even get into his class, and they were trying to petition to have him kicked out because he didn't subscribe to some really crazy right-wing, or not right-wing, it was left-wing, liberal type of philosophy.
Now, I don't know how accurate this study is, but they said they had done a study for college professors and all that, and that 90%, over 90% of your college professors today across the board swing way more on the liberal side of things, where it's not balanced, and a lot of them push their own personal agendas. Don't know how accurate that is, but apparently in the colleges these days, there's a lot of over-the-top left liberal thinking going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 kids in college. One of them doesn't pay attention at all, but the other one that does, comes home when I can detect some of it in his language and thinking, or just even things he says. Not that he even necessarily subscribes to it, but just some of the conversation that is had. He goes to Michigan, which I don't even know if I would say it's a tremendously liberal school, not like some others, but it probably leans left.
All your terms like triggered and safe space and all that stuff, a lot of that stuff came from universities, where people, if someone was discussing something that it triggered you and it got you all emotionally upset, you had to go somewhere to be safe and calm down. That all of a sudden was a boom, and it became an everyday language where we used to joke about it back when we were at Wild 95.5, like, oh my, that's just some university out there in California but it's becoming so prevalent in everyday language that people are going, what the fuck's happening?
Well, it's, become rampant now through, for us, what hits everybody, because, not everybody's going to colleges, but it is going and running rampant through our pop culture and celebrity style. It is very evident there, and that, like a shower head, is going to rain down on everybody because that's something that we're all pretty much plugged into or at least aware of. So that's, I think, how we're kind of getting it.
No, it started with the universities, and now you're right.
Yeah.
The actors and the people in Hollywood are taking that language and they're putting it out there.
It's happening on, probably on both sides, left and right wing. I'm a little bit more aware of the left wing stuff because my parents are right wing. My mom is very anti-university. She loves education. She's a teacher, but she's very not into the college system right now, I think, for this reason. She's a Fox News believer. And other things that I have heard, I'd heard an interesting interview and podcast with the lead singer of Metallica, and he said, I had to move out of San Francisco. He said, because, they're all into free thinking as long as your free thinking matches up exactly with how they think. So, he's a little bit more like he's a hunter, and he's a little bit, and he basically said I was ran out of town.
Wow.
And then he went and did man things.
Mm-hmm. He did. No, he moved, I think, to Colorado or one of Wyoming or something like that. And he said, I can be me. He said, look, he's like, it got to the point where it's not even like, you could disagree with the fact that I hunted. It was that you were going to ruin my life.
Be in my face and yelling at me and telling me what a dirtbag I was.
Right. And he's like, basically, and here's a guy who's all about metal up your ass his entire career, and he got ran out of town.
And before everyone starts emailing the show, I'm not saying that is completely 100%. I have just heard that a lot of more left stuff is going on, and it's pretty prevalent. I've heard many people talk about that.
Well, I'd say there's probably examples on both sides of it. And I think, what they're saying here is that, there are things that are happening where we just can't have a discourse because there's such a divide between, the two. And look, I'm one of those people. I always say this. I am a moderate. I am down the middle. I am, basically socially liberal. And I'm like, for the most part, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, do whatever the hell you want to do. I mean, that's a lot of times how I view it. So I'm not left or right wing. I'm not a Fox News guy. I'm not an MSNBC person. I'm just a dude that, watches both, and I would like to have civil discourse.
Oh, yeah, but everyone on the show would want that.
But I do see insanity. And, I do see almost some manic behavior.
Well, it's the stuff like
that happens from people who are not getting what they want.
Well, it's the stuff like banning Baby It's Cold Outside. It's going out of the realm where your average person goes, oh, yeah, I agree with that. People are going, wait a minute, what this shit's going on?
This book apparently is based on 3 precepts that have steeped into American childhood and education. What doesn't kill you makes you weaker. Always.
That's good.
You can stop right there. That's awesome.
Always trust your feelings.
Ugh.
And life is a battle between good people and evil people, making everything always black and white. And I think that is really what it is you see that shift where you can't recognize that we are all a mix of it. Like it or not, you are a mix of both. Anybody listening to my voice right now, like it or not, you are a mix of it. Some people have more or less of both, but you are good and evil. Like it or not. And pretty much every single topic out there is a mix of good and evil in it.
I completely agree with that we all are capable of having a little bit of evil in us and good.
And if you're a crazy person, you should not always listen to your feelings, especially if you put your feelings above the needs and wants and general feelings of society and other people.
Well, when feelings start to trump, actual facts, then that's when it can get dangerous.
Mm-hmm. So it is really kind of interesting just at the speed in which we are jumping into this PC world. Some of it very necessary. Some of it, and a lot of it. I would say probably a majority of it. I'm like, that's probably, there's something there. And I think that's things that we should change the paradigm shift in how we look at things and think about things. And there are a lot of evils that need to be righted in our society. And so I think I will still be on the side. I think a majority of it is still really good. But there is a part where you've got to pump the brakes and say, okay, when is it like a little too much? And there are some things I was reading here on Ranker. It's a website. They put stuff up there, and then people vote up or down things, based on how they agree. So I like the site because a lot of times when you bring in lists, it's one person's opinion. this is a lot of people who can go to one side and vote, one way or the other. And so it's popular movies that haven't aged well. What I think was funny was not only the movies that are on the list, but the write-up that they have about them and why now they are just tone deaf in today's society. And Jaybird, I think you'd actually even had mentioned this list because a movie that I grew up loving, I had never thought about it when I first watched it as, a prepubescent teen. But yeah, if I went back and I haven't seen it in years, but it probably would jump out to me. And I think I thought about it before. Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh yeah, the nerds when he
is
acts
number
like
one.
He's a Stan Gable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lewis, who's the leader of the Nerds, he steals a Darth Vader costume belonging to Stan Gable, the head jock of the rival frat, and entices his girlfriend into a bounce house and then performs a sex act on her. You can tell by it alludes to it. And then he reveals, he takes the mask off. He's not her boyfriend. She's like, oh, but she's so happy because I didn't know it was so good. And go on ahead, disguise your identity and have your way in my nether regions. And I would be so pleased just because you were good.
But growing up, though, did you ever watch that and think what he was doing was right? I growing up watching that, I knew that was wrong. That was that's weird. That's creepy.
I don't think I thought about it as right or wrong. I just kind of looked at it as...
It happened.
Yeah.
Same thing with 16 Candles.
That you're thinking of The Breakfast Club. Are you talking about the head underneath the table?
No, I'm talking about when the hot chick realizes that she is with Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. In fact, a lot of the John Hughes movies are on this list and get blasted.
It's a lot of his plot.
Yeah, no, it really is. A lot of his movies get blasted. 16 Candles is number 3 right now on the list. And yeah, I mean, what you were talking about where he has his way again with the,
hot chick.
Jake Ryan's girl, yeah.
The Breakfast Club is on that. Was another one that had been called out by Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, but with 16 Candles, you go into that and it's not only just the sex act, but they're like going, I mean, how messed up was the whole long duck dong thing? An exchange student that is repeatedly referred to as a Chinaman. And then at one point he yells out bonsai. And, those were all those kind of like stereotypes that, you had. And that's been something as we break down racial stereotypes. That, at 16 Candles, if you did that now in a movie, people would be like, whoa, hey, that's kind of crazy.
We just didn't, have that sensitivity that we have now, and we just didn't know any better.
Well, think about stand-up comedy acts. I mean, they always go after... a lot of times, especially in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of racial content, a lot of over-the-top stuff like that, and it was always hidden under the umbrella of comedy. It's kind of like these movies, but are people trying to say these movies should be banned?
Well, I think that's ultimately what the question is. I think they're just talking about movies that haven't aged well and they look tone deaf in today's society. And it's not saying that you ban them or you're not, but it's just saying how messed up is this concept now that you kind of look at it. And I'm one of those people. I would love for us to be in a place where we could joke about racial things. I've always said that I think that racist is when there is hate and there's discrimination behind it. I like laughing at things that are unique to the different races and things that we do because there are some things that are kind of funny about it.
Sure.
I like comedians that point light at it and make fun with it as long as you're fair and it doesn't feel like you're trying to hate on somebody and call somebody stupid because of it.
But when you start controlling content like this, then you have to look at everything. You have to look, okay, well, if that offends you, how is that any different than a movie like Saw where it shows graphic violence? And for some people, watching graphic violence and seeing someone get hacked up is way worse than hearing a joke from a movie in the 80s. What I'm saying is you're going to have to look at everything and say, oh, well, that's bad and that's bad. And that's going to be really hard to do.
Well, I think ultimately you're upset with some of these things, or at least the people who are. I'm not saying I'm upset with anything, but is that it influences people's behavior. So if you think that these are influencing people to be sexually perverse and break the hashtag #MeToo movement and they're doing things that are racist. You're right. Horror movies, you could argue. There are some horrific things that you see in these messed up stories that pop up in the news about somebody that's taken somebody captive and done Saw-like things to them with violence and gore and blood. And for the same reason, you say, well, is it possible if we're going to say that these things are making us sexually perverse and racists, that also the gory movies aren't making us killers?
Well, you just have to look at everything is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying these are the ones that are on the list and the things they point out. You'd be like, yeah, society was different then. And now you probably wouldn't put this in a movie. The racial things, I've never seen Breakfast at Tiffany's. It's kind of out of my realm. But They used to do a lot of messed up stuff in that era, like Mickey Rooney. He portrays Mr. Yuniyoshi, a Japanese photographer, and he's very much like, like in the buck teeth and the eye, and and that's how he does it. And like going, oh my gosh, like now it's such a caricature that's a lot of people would find to be very gross. Even Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, which was all filmed in South Florida, it got a nice write-up on Ranker. It's the number 4 movie on their movies that haven't aged well.
Wow.
Several things they list. Snowflake the pet dolphin is kept in a tiny tank. Can't do that. Animal cruelty. They got Ace Ventura prancing around a mental institution dressed in a pink tutu, acting out some kind of faux mental illness that doesn't really describe what mental illness is about, making jokes of it.
Got it.
Yep. The movie then climaxes with Ace Ventura exposing the transgender. He first strips her down to her underwear and then shows everyone in the scene that she has tucked the penis she never wanted between her legs. Everyone then begins to vomit in the throes of gay panic. When Ventura flashes back to Einhorn's original life as a man, he vomits, brushes his teeth, and uses a plunger on his face to suck out the germs.
Not sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That movie was 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like mid-90s on that one.
I guess my question would be, and there's really no way to know, but how many people overall are truly offended by some of the stuff you're listening, and what are the true numbers on that? Is it majority, or do majority of people say, all right, this is going too far? You're never going to be able to control how people talk anyway. For the most part, you're going to walk outside and try to control how everyone talks. That's going to be impossible to do.
The last survey I saw, 64% of Americans said the PC culture has gone too far. Now, it didn't get specific as to exactly what would be your example of what has gone too far.
Because you're right. Some of this stuff needs to change. And then some of this stuff, I wonder, and for some reason this is a controversial statement, people get mad when I say sometimes the media deliberately drives stories to make people angry on purpose. They're pressing buttons to sell and get clicks going on. I don't know why that's a controversial. That really happens in the media. And I wonder how much of that, where like Brittany in the chat room goes, I wonder what's fake controversy, where people are deliberately saying, you know what, let's make this let's act like people are really upset about this, and we'll put it out there to get everyone really upset, going, what the shit's going on? Why are people mad about this? I wonder how much of that really goes on.
Yeah. I'm not easily offended by anything at all. I think one thing that does happen, though, and is good, is that we are learning more about things, talking about even Ace Ventura, mental illness, and what it truly looks like. And so, in a sense, sometimes those gags that you used to do when you didn't know anything about mental illness, right now, you may not laugh at, not just because you're sensitive to it and you're a snowflake, but because you're like going out, I know more about mental illness. This isn't even close. It doesn't connect. And a joke has to kind of be based in what you deem to be reality for it to be like, ha, 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 that's funny. Now, if you saw that skit, you'd be like, that's just stupid,
Everyone's going to be different, though. Everyone's going to handle content differently. And just because someone's upset with it over here, someone over here, they may not be upset with it. Me and Virginia can be offended by something that's completely, you could look at it one way and I'd be like, what the shit?
I'm offended by your sweater.
Why? I'm just kidding. This thing.
Yeah. It's probably a natural shift. I imagine this has probably happened if we could go back into... the 1500s, you would find things and cultures and people that were offended, and things had shifted. And
but going back to that one guy you're talking about, that people are looking into and saying it's shifting so quick, more than anything in the history of humanity, and they want to know why. And some of it is linked to social media.
Yeah, well, because things can change quicker. They didn't have the vehicles to change them then. They had to write a letter that somebody would have to take on horseback, and maybe it got there 3 months later.
Maybe. If he didn't die of scurvy.
Right?
Yeah, right. So social media definitely has sped up the process, because you look at movies like A Wedding Crashers. That's early 2000s. And this one, some of these I think were far-reaching, but they put this at number 5 on this one, movies that haven't aged well. It says they're right up. Vince Vaughn lies to women to sleep with them, and as soon as he meets a woman who wants to continue their relationship, he calls her a clinger. His characterization of a man may have passed for fun in the early 2000s, but in a modern context, he just looks like your everyday douche.
But here's the thing, that when you're making a movie, you have to have people who are not flattering. You have to have people who are good. It's a movie because it's make believe. It's not real.
Well, and you've got to have absurd and obscene characters a lot of times because that's what really, truly drives it to make it funny. One of the funniest shows that I haven't seen that people tell me about, and everybody in my family loves it. My wife's like, this is maybe the funniest show I've ever seen. It's called Shameless. And it is all about, and she tells me some of the gags that they've had in that. And it's got the guy who was in Fargo, and William H. Macy is in it, plays a dysfunctional dad who's horrible, and all the things are like cringeworthy. I think, what was it? My wife was telling me they went out and like adopted a black kid because of all the free stuff he could get by having a black kid.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is a major vehicle of comedy in that show, and I think people are gravitating, in a sense, you're seeing a pushback and people saying, you know what, we're going to just go all the way with it now and offer this kind of stuff because there are some people that say, hey, you know, it is funny. There are some things that are true with that. And if we can't make fun of some of these things that happen in our society, you know, it's not that he's doing anything awful. He's just saying, yeah, I realize there are advantages to having an adopted black kid.
But there's also really douchebags out there. And if you're trying to tell a story to paint someone as a douchebag by doing despicable behavior, you have to have that in the script. Because, once again, it's not real. You have to have that.
As a person,
if not, you're just going to have nice people in the movie.
As a person, the character that William H. Macy plays, you're not going to high-five and be like that, but you laugh at it because he's so dysfunctional and so goes against what you should do in a upstanding, decent human in today's society. Be like going, oh my gosh, you definitely don't do that, but you laugh because of the absurdity of it. It's actually just kind of a vehicle of comedy. You know, going for the obscene. The obscene makes people laugh.
I just see some of these critics, they write about characters in movies like they're real people. It's a fucking script.
Yeah, I think that's where you get into issues, is that we have to really watch the characters we create, and we then have to put them in this sanitized world. Look, we're going to, and we should be creating characters that are awful people, that are absurd, that are all these kind of things. You should have the douche in Wedding Crashers and you laugh at him because you're like going, yeah, that's not
right.
Really...
It exists.
Right. Yeah. Some of the other things they wrote on here, Trading Places was number 7. If you look at that movie that had Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, there's a thing where Dan Aykroyd dons the Rastafarian costume, complete with blackface and dreadlocks. No in today's society. Even the movie Knocked Up, which is another movie from the 2000s, this is what they had the write-up on Ranker on this movie. They said, abortion isn't even an option when the two strangers discover they're pregnant, which completely undercuts any tones of feminism. That, to me, I'm like going, wait, what? It's a movie that hasn't aged well because you're not pushing an abortion agenda, that would be the smart, sensible thing to do when you've gone out, gotten drunk, and you got knocked up by a guy you don't find attractive.
Well, the other thing, too,
abort that baby.
It's not in the script. They don't. It's just not in there.
They can write the script however they want. We gotta give people creative freedoms to put what they want in their movie.
These aren't real people. It's made up.
Easy there, killer. Easy. It's just a discussion, my friend.
I'm just doing it for comedy.
Oh, okay.
Virginia laughs.
You're scaring me. You got other movies in here. They list Animal House for some things that happened in that. They hilarious frat prank gone wrong kills a horse. You got Pinto, one of the frat members, contemplating having sex with a girl who's passed out drunk. Thankfully, he doesn't rape her. Weird Science, boys wearing bras on their heads, creating a woman who shows up, of course, in underwear and a cutoff shirt. And then she takes them to get drunk to a blues club where, when they get hammered, start to do an unflattering imitation of the African-American bluesmen around them. Give me the key, I'll drive. Remember that? Yep.
I do.
Mm-hmm. Calling that out. Big, the 12-year-old who sleeps with the 30-year-old woman.
In her defense, she did not know.
You're right. And Tropic Thunder, more blackface, and Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory with the Oompa Loompas who were taken from their island home to work full-time at a factory in exchange for a place to stay.
He saved them from the vicious canids.
Yeah, that's basically, yeah.
Fuck that. Whatever. He saved them from the vicious canids.
And Wonka also systematically murdering children.
Well, they deserved it, Kevin. They were terrible kids.
If you go to ranker.com, you can find that list, and you can vote up, down on the movies that you like or feel should be voted up, down on. Michelle sent an email here talking about a horrific Christmas movie. Said, I got to tell you something happened to me and my husband over Christmas. We went over to a friend's house on Christmas Eve for a party. She told us about a movie that she had seen as a young girl, and it was her favorite ever of all time. She said, I don't really want to watch it, but I was just going to put it on the background as we're hanging out, drinking, and partying. Have you ever seen or heard of Babes in Toyland? You got to Google or YouTube this movie. It was originally done in the 40s, and it is both horrifying and fascinating all at once. And I'm pretty sure I'm scared for life. Slightly similar to The Wizard of Oz, it involves some of the old fairy tales like Old Mother Hubbard and Little Bo Peep. It involves flying monkeys and tin soldiers and a mouse that you wouldn't want to see in your worst nightmare. The funniest part about the whole evening was that our friend kept saying how this was her favorite all-time Christmas movie, and she had just the fondest memories of it. We were all horrified. Not sure if I'm going to ever be the same for seeing it. So if you guys want, check it out and report back. I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Babes in Toyland. I've heard of it.
I've heard of it too.
Just never took the time or even knew what it was about.
Mm-hmm. How about that? Okay. Got Derek sending in this email. One story that we got to, Jaybird, that I don't think you were around for was the guy on Palm Beach that, for whatever reason, got in a Ferrari and ramped it into the ocean.
Yes.
Sunk 30 feet. Reportedly, other stories we had heard, he had 50 grand in the car, and the person who actually wound up saving him, he comes out of the water and says, God told me to give you this apple, and hands him an apple.
The guy saved him in a boat.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy stuff.
What's going on? Do we have an update on this dude?
Derek said, I do have an update on the guy that drove his Ferrari into the inlet. I heard that after months of being publicly called out on the radio for parking in handicap spots, he just couldn't take it anymore. Legend tells us that he drove off the dock and you could hear him yell, damn you, KVJ, out his window. And as his Ferrari sank, you could see his license plate that read Johnny F. slowly disappear under the water. And so goes the tale of Johnny Ferrari.
That's so funny.
That may be made up.
Good writing, though. Very
Great
creative.
writing.
Let me see. Talking about tipping tattoo artists or piercers. Stephanie said, my ex-husband's a tattoo artist, and I will say tipping really is a good practice here. It is something on your body forever. The artist typically splits the cost of the tattoo 50-50 or 60-40 with the shop owner, but gets to keep 100% of the tip.
Okay.
Also, if it is your first time using the artist and plan on getting more work done in the future, I would surely tip and tip well, because you can bet 100% of the artist will remember that when he quotes your next tattoo and will hook you up on the price that much more. Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
Christina said, talking about tipping, you pretty much tip anyone who provides a service. Examples, hairstylist, barber, tattoo artist, piano technician, dog groomer, etc. And no customer service, like a cashier, retail clerk, etc., is not a service. Though I have tipped cashiers and I have been tipped while working retail in the past, it's not the norm. And ice cream shops and fast food joints should only maybe at most have out a tip jar, but you shouldn't feel obligated to tip them.
You'll get an email tomorrow. Whoever wrote that doesn't know shit about tats and tips.
I'm a sandwich artist and I need that money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I saw the best sign in New Orleans for the tip jar, and I actually put money in it because the sign was so creative. It said, "Please help. My cat needs karate lessons. He's being bullied at school." So I put money in there.
Does that get your money, Kev? Do you like that?
I might, you know.
She likes animal humor.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, fucking, they drew a cat in a little kimono or what is the thing you wear for karate?
A gi?
A gi. There's a cat in a gi. I'm like, that's funny.
Were you drinking?
No.
Okay.
I was stone cold sober. I was about to have a hot dog. It was about 11 a.m. on a Saturday.
I've seen you eat a hot dog before. You go for it.
I get down on a dog.
You do, huh?
She does. Actually, it's not sexy at all. It's very gross.
I'm not eating for you.
I saw it. I do it at the ballpark. After she shotgunned a beer, gave that beer can to the police officer, said, "All right, we're out of here." Then she ate a hot dog. Very gross.
Yeah.
3 bites.
It was. You powerhouse that thing.
I will pound a hot dog.
Mm-hmm. Pound a hot dog.
It's a source of pride.
Did you, as a kid, can I talk to Fat Kev real quick?
Yeah.
Fat Kevin, did you ever eat cheese dogs as a kid? With the cheese in the middle?
Yes, but I quit, I think right around the height of my fatness. I was about 8th grade, and we were going to a basketball game. And I played, and so I was going with my buddy Rob. His dad, no, I think it was probably 6th grade, and he had a red Chevette, which is a kind of car that was around back in the 80s.
My dad had
Yes.
a yellow Chevette.
Chevette was all the rage.
It was.
Yeah. So I remember pounding a chili cheese dog and a Klondike bar. And we got in, and the area where I lived, very windy roads. And Fat Kev, and especially just at the time, I got car sick like crazy. I barfed all that chili cheese dog and Klondike all over the car. It was so bad his dad had to sell the vehicle a week later. And I really don't think, even in my fat heyday, I pretty much after that swore off corn dogs.
That makes-
or chili cheese
Cheese
dogs.
dogs.
That makes
Yeah.
me love Fat Kevin so much more. What a star snack bar he is, man.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
Yeah.
Bring him back. What? Bring him back. Who?
Did a lot of good stuff there. Did a lot of good stuff. Put in the work.
I think you peaked at Fat Kevin. I think that's the best right there.
That's the best, huh?
That's not the best.
Okay.
Again, I'm just kidding.
Let me see here. Got to say what up to Elena. She really loves your Spirits Talk episode. Said, I just wanted to email because I listened to the second episode and you had me at tears at work, Virginia.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty powerful.
Yeah, she said, when I first heard, I was a little skeptical because I guess I don't want to believe out of fear. And also, I guess it's because I don't have an emotional connection to your guests. I had a change of heart, though, when you spontaneously helped Magnolia. Virginia and Magnolia do not know me, but I listened to the show and have grown so close to the KVJ family that I feel that we do know each other. When Jeff read for Magnolia, I started crying at work and really started to believe. I think what you are doing is great, and I love the people that you help get a second chance or closure from their loved ones. Keep it up, and I can't wait for the next one.
That's really what it's about, at least for me. You know, I don't know what other people go into this sort of stuff looking to do, but giving people comfort that are here on earth about their loved ones that passed away before their time. I think it's really hard, especially for a lot of the parents that we deal with Little Smiles. We see so much pain and grief and sadness, and just to be able to give those parents a little bit of light and a little bit of comfort, that for me is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Side note, Weird and Whatever comes back this Saturday too.
Oh,
so
good.
and we can try to do our little psychic thing with Jeff and Vicky and try to get all that going too.
I want to do that. I want to have all the psychics come together because that is the one thing that Jeff, my psychic, told me. He's like, look, I never get to get read because it's hard for a psychic to actually be read. You'll go to get read and then some people realize they can't read another psychic.
Okay.
So when you have all these psychics together, it'll be fascinating to see if they can read each other.
Okay.
I'm so fascinated
and
by
it's
that.
not about shit talking each other's psychics. It's about
No.
bringing people together.
I would love to see them together and just see what happens when they all are in the room and they're all just talking to each
Yeah.
other. I just want to shut up and listen.
That is kind of interesting, yeah. Well, barbers don't cut their own hair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lawyers don't defend themselves in court.
Hey, shrinks need shrinks.
Stacy sent an email, said, can't thank you enough. Just want to take a minute to let you guys know how much you helped me. I stumbled across your show about 11 years ago when I was going through a really bad divorce. My husband and I only listened to country music. But it was such a difficult time, and all the songs were so sad. It reminded me
sad.
of what used to be.
Regret, loss.
Well, a lot of them are like love songs, too. So, and especially if you had those and it reminded you of your ex. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
High school dreams.
One morning while trying to find something to get my mind off the lowest point of my life, I changed the station and found your show, and you made me laugh.
Aw.
When all I wanted to do was cry, and I've been part of your radio family ever since. I set my radio early to listen to your show from the beginning. I listen to the podcast when I can't listen live. And once again, I'm going through an awful breakup.
Oh, man.
Find myself going back and listening to random podcasts. And right now, you guys are the only thing that makes me laugh and keeps my mind off how sad I am to be alone again. I know you hear it all the time, but you are amazing people. You do more than what you know. Thanks from the bottom of my heart, Stacy. Thank you, Stacy.
That's sweet.
You'll be all right, Stacy. Don't worry.
Yeah. You can't recognize great days if you don't have a few bad ones.
That's it.
We've all been through the breakup bad ones.
That's right.
It will get better.
It will.
That's true. That is very true, Virginia. True words. Also, a nice little shout out here to Alyssa, part of our promotions team. She was nice enough to give us a tour of the studios when we drove up from Miami to take her to dinner for her 21st birthday. She knows what a huge fan I am of the show. Of course, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday, so it was like a ghost town, but it was still blasting in the studio that KVJ broadcasts from. So proud of what a beautiful lady she has become, and there are some photos right there on KVJ TV if you're watching.
Oh, I love her.
Oh, she's awesome. Yeah,
Yes.
she's great.
She sometimes fills in up front and answers the phone.
She does some of our appearances with us, too.
Yeah, good energy on that kid.
All right, got anything you want to send off to us, you can just send us the email, mail@kvjshow.com, mail@kvjshow.com. Especially need the single dudes. The Bachelor kicked off on TV last night.
I know, my dad was watching it by himself.
What?
He loves The Bachelor.
Really?
I would have watched it with him. I was going to actually watch it with him, and I ended up passing out kind of early.
Did he see that chick that danced up in a sloth costume?
I got to get the recap today from him. Maybe I'll record him.
Okay, it'd be nice. Yeah, if we could do maybe Randy updates on The Bachelor.
I'll get
Yeah.
you the update.
Does he have some picks? Who does he think's going to win it all?
I will talk with him today.
Well, what we're hoping to do, probably starting next week, is having the opportunity to post up another single dude on the KVJ Show Instagram, our own Bachelorgram. Now, to get on the Instagram, guys, you need to submit to us an email with your photo and some basic info. We'd like your age, where you live, what you do for a living, and include your phone number so that we can reach you. We'll put you on the show, ask you 5 questions, and then we'll let 5 single ladies vote whether or not you're good enough material for our Instagram.
Okay.
Then we'll post it up there, and all the comments, you'll be going, do me, or whatever they say. I don't even know.
I don't know if the dude.
And we are vetting these dudes. Just know that we're researching and making sure that your information is legit.
Well, we're vetting them on the show, too.
Yeah.
So if they don't sound like they belong up there, then they won't be.
Man hater Sinicki over here is vetting.
Oh, I'll sniff out.
Single dudes, send us those emails, though. It all begins with you. If you're a single guy, send it to us. Mail@kvjshow.com, mail@kvjshow.com.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.